Welcome to another episode of UTalks. I'm so excited to be with you here today on a solo episode where we are talking all about the top skills needed in leadership. I'm Dr. Laci Coppins-Robbins, Executive Director for Urban Learning Collaborative, ULC, and I am excited to dive into this particular thought, concept, and idea. Listen, typically when people think about leadership, what it means to be a leader, there are specific things that come to mind, or you might even have a specific individual who comes to mind when you think about leadership. But more so, I want you to think about effective leadership. What is it that it takes? What is it that you are looking for? What is it when you are tapping into your inner leadership skills? What are the big ideas that start to come to mind? Well, on today, I want to get us started with a series that's dealing with the top 5 skills that are needed to be an effective leader. So number 1, the very first skill that you have to have is communication. Listen, as a leader, you have to be able to communicate your thoughts, your ideas, because it essentially is the cornerstone of all leadership. If nobody knows what you're thinking or no one has in mind what your big ideas and concepts are for the organization that you're leading, what exactly are you talking about? So there are 3 things that come to mind when it comes to communication as a leader. Number 1 is nonverbal communication. So we are always talking, right? Our bodies are speaking for us. And so we might be approaching someone with arms closed, or maybe, we have a grimace upon our face. Well, instantly that person is going to think, wow, they're having a bad day, as opposed to showing up with a smile or open arm, open body space towards that person. They're going to think, wow, they're welcome and inviting. The key things I want you to think about when it comes to your nonverbal communication include maintaining eye contact with whoever you're having that conversation with, because that lets them know I'm somebody that you can like, someone that you can trust, someone that you want to be able to connect with. And number 2 is using open body language. We already talked a little bit about if your arms are closed, or if you have a grimace, or even in how you're turning your body towards the person you're in conversation with. The more open facing that you can be with that person, in short, it's the better, because they're going to start to have that engagement with you. The second thing that I want you to think about when it comes to communication is having a clear vision, not only one that's clear for you, but also a clear vision that you're able to articulate with the individuals that are following you as the leader. Along the same line with having that clear vision also means having clear goals that are included with that. Now, as a leader, you might be thinking to yourself, well, yeah, I want to have a clear vision and goal, but I also want to bring my team along as we're developing the vision, as we're developing the goal. These are vital and very important things to be able to do. However, as the leader, you still have to make sure that you have clarity as to what it is that you desire for the organization that you've been charged with. If you don't have clarity, you can't even start to facilitate conversations with individuals to help them, to lead them to where you are driving and going towards. So what do I mean exactly? Well, you want to be able to use simple and direct language when you're having the conversation about your ideas. In addition to that, you want to avoid jargon or cliches or even complex terms. You have to keep in mind that everyone that's serving in your organization, that's following you along the way, they may not actually have that background knowledge or experience that you have. So when you start having those conversations with them, or leading and a discussion amongst your team, you want to make sure that everyone is tracking and that they're able to follow along. This is vital and key. This is really going to help to move ideas forward and really assist you in being able to articulate what that vision and goal is. Here's the final thing, which may come as a surprise to you, but in addition to being able to clearly articulate your thoughts, your visions, your goals, you also want to practice active listening. Yes, we oftentimes don't consider communication or think about communication to include the concept of listening, but that is directly connected and tied in. So if I'm an active listener, it may mean that I'm showing up with empathy, I'm showing up with understanding, I'm showing compassion, where if you recall our board president, one of the things he talks about that makes an effective leader is compassion. And then being able to provide feedback and ask for clarification before you're making final determinations. The worst thing that we can do as leaders is start making assumptions that we already have a preconceived notion as to what the outcome is that this person is desiring or what it is that they're looking for or looking towards. That's a big mistake that unfortunately a lot of leaders can start to do, is they start to make judgment calls for others and they simply haven't made the time to ask the question as to what their outcome or what their big idea or thought might be. Here's a final thought I want to be able to leave with you on today. When it comes to figuring out what are the next steps or what is it that this person might be desiring for their career choice, the best thing that you can do is have a conversation with the individual that you're connected with. Why is this conversation so important? Because we can be making assumptions that we know, this is what their career choice is. This is where they're seeking to go. Or I already know what's best for them as a person on my team. But technically, we don't, because we have not asked. And so you want to be able to take the time as a leader to have conversations with your team members so that you can best support them in their next career desires and next career choices. So remember, the very first skill you want to keep in mind when it comes to effective leadership and a top skill for a leader is communication. Being able to articulate your vision, your goal, being able to also have active listening, and above all else, remembering that nonverbal communication is also a big part of communication too. I'm Dr. Laci C. Robbins. I'm so excited that you would take the time to be a part of this conversation, to listen to today's podcast. Join me here again as we keep the countdown going on the top 5 skills you need to be an effective leader and the top 5 skills in leadership. Until next time, remember, it's not when I lead, but when you lead. We'll see you again soon.
Are you looking to take the next step in leadership? Are you looking to grow as a leader? If so, I have the perfect program for you. Leadership DevelopU, sponsored by Urban Learning Collaborative, is now accepting applications for its first cohort of leadership development programming. You can find the application and apply at urban-learning.org. Again, that's www.urban-learning.org. We look forward to seeing you in that next cohort.